welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. I am in my Budget by Paycheck workbook today, and we are going to be going over the third budget for the week of October. I have my husband's third paycheck of the month, as well as my YouTube income. And this is how we are going to be budgeting it. Full disclosure, I've already tried to film this video once. I went through and did a whole setup video on this budget, and then I accidentally deleted the footage. So this lighting in this video is not great. I know that. It's super late in the day. I accidentally deleted that footage, so I had to redo it. So this is just going to be a quick recap of that, where our money is going to go this week. So you guys know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I don't disclose my husband's income. He's not comfortable with that, so I don't do it, but I do disclose how much money I bring in from YouTube. Since you guys are a big part of that, I would not be able to bring this money in without you guys watching my videos, watching the ads, that sort of thing. So for September, the amount of money that I earned here on my YouTube channel is $252.37. So thank you. The way that YouTube works is they pay through AdSense and you get paid the following month. So this is my income from September. So that's what we are working with. Of course, that is not taxed. That is gross. So I will have to pull out some money for taxes, and we will talk about that when we get to my sinking funds. But for now, we're just going to get started on the budget. So starting out with groceries, you guys know this is nothing new. I budgeted $150 for groceries. That is what I budget pretty much every single week. That's for my family of 4. Next up, we have household. For household expenses, things like toilet paper, paper towels, laundry detergent, that sort of thing. I've budgeted $25 for the week. Next up, I have my Walmart credit card. That is a minimum payment, and I've budgeted $125 for that. We also have my Lowe's card here, which I've budgeted $100 for. And lastly, we have my Subaru payment. That is my car payment, and I've budgeted $400 for that. When you add everything up here, it is a total of $800, as you can see here. So this is all of my bills and expenses that I pay with my debit card. Next up, we have my cash envelopes. So I kept our cash envelopes very simple this week. This is all of the money that I pull out in cash that we use throughout the week. So it's like our weekly expenses that we use cash for. So first I have my husband's spending money, and this week I budgeted $60 for him. Typically it's $40, but he is on call this week for work. If you guys are not familiar, he is a plumber. He works in sewer and drain cleaning, and he is on call this week. So he has to be available to take emergency calls all weekend. And whenever that happens, I like to give him a little bit of extra spending money, because chances are he's not home for meals and stuff. He might have to grab a quick drive-through run. So I just like to give him a little bit of extra money for the weeks when he's on call. I am not giving myself any eating out money this week. You guys, my spending has been out of control. So I have already shot my wad for the rest of October. I'm actually not going to be giving myself any more spending money for the rest of October. I've been buying things on Mercari quite a bit, which is like a resale website. People can get on there and sell things. It's sort of like a big garage sale type situation, I guess. So I've been buying lots of clothing pieces from there, as well as I signed up for a Sips By box, which, if you're not familiar with Sips By, it is a tea subscription, which I am super excited about. I've been really into tea these last couple of months, loose leaf tea especially, so very excited about that Sips By box. But that was another thing that I kind of have already spent my money on, so I decided to make up for all of my extraneous spending. I was not going to give myself any more spending money for the rest of October. I kind of go through phases. A lot of times I'll keep my spending money and not spend it at all. And then other times I go crazy and spend. I'm in a spending mode right now, so that takes care of that. Next up, we have eating out. I'm going to give us $40 for eating out. That seems to be working out well for us. For miscellaneous, this is just any expenses, anything that comes up that I did not account for, that I didn't budget for. We're going to do $40 for that. And lastly, we have my gas, which is gasoline for my car. We've budgeted $40 for that. So all told here in my cash envelope category, I'm going to be pulling out $180 in cash for that. All right, moving on. Next up, we have my sinking funds. So quite a few sinking funds we're going to be funding this week, just kind of a little bit of money into several pots. You guys know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, that we like to set aside about $150 usually for sinking funds a week. We have about a dozen sinking funds, but we don't fund them all. We just kind of focus on a few key ones at a time. We also have my YouTube taxes this week, or for this pay period that we need to pull out. Like I said at the beginning, YouTube does pay out monthly, but they don't withhold taxes. So I always set aside 30% of my YouTube income so that when we go to file our taxes, I have it to be able to pay those. All right, so the first sinking fund that we are going to fund this week is car maintenance. I want to start adding money a little bit at a time every week for car maintenance and really bulking that up. Next up, we have haircuts. I just took all 3 of my guys for haircuts. That's my husband and my 2 sons. And so we need to build that haircut fund back up for the next time. Next up, we have home maintenance. That is a fund that I have been neglecting severely. I think it's empty at this point. So that's something that I want to focus on building up a little bit. So we're going to add $25 to that. Also, school expenses. I just went and bought Austin a few new clothing pieces and wiped out our school expenses envelope. He is going to be going back face-to-face school starting in November. If you're not familiar, Austin is my 12-year-old. He has been doing virtual learning so far this school year, but he pretty much begged me to let him go back to school face-to-face. He's really missing his friends, and he's struggling to keep up with the online curriculum. So I'm going to send him back to school. It makes me sad thinking about him not being home all the time, and it makes me worried thinking about, exposure risk and all of that. But, they are masking full-time at school and lots of hand sanitizer and minimizing contact, so hopefully it'll be good. But regardless, he needed a few school clothing pieces, so I wiped out our school expenses envelope, and now I'm going to build it back up. So we're going to add $25 to that. And then for YouTube, what I did was I took this $252.37, and I am setting aside 30% of that. So that equals out to be about $76. I always round up to the nearest dollar. So I'll pull $76 and put it in my little sinking fund envelope. And like I said, that way when it comes time to pay our taxes, I have that money. I don't have to worry about it. So all told for our sinking funds this week, it's $176. Just a little bit different than usual because I have that YouTube money in there. We do try to set aside $150 usually. If you take off this YouTube, you can see I've only set aside $100 this week, just because that's what we had to spare. My husband is paid based on commission, so his paychecks fluctuate week to week. Some weeks they're more, some weeks they're less. This week it was a little bit less, so we just saved a little bit less. Hopefully that makes sense. Plus, I do have some extra savings that I'm going to go into in a little bit here, so that helped to make up the difference. All right, next up we have my debt snowball payment. If you watched my debt snowball update, you know that we have paid off the card that we were focusing on, which was a State Farm Visa card. Now we are moving on to paying for the washer and dryer we just had to buy. Definitely go check out that debt snowball update if you missed it, but I go into more detail there. But we are going to be setting aside $150 for our debt snowball. Not setting it aside, we're going to be paying it right to that card, $150 to start our progress on the Lowe's card. All right, so that takes care of that. Lastly, I have extra savings. This essentially is another sinking fund, but because the Budget by Paycheck Workbook has it broken down this way, I just stuck it in the extra savings. This is going to be a sinking fund that I have just for extra money to spend on whatever I want. I did this for quite a while, back at the kind of start to mid part of the year. And then I stopped because I was focusing on other things, but now I want to have a little bit of extra money set aside for when something comes up. We've been having opportunities to do things, and you know, things have come up where we've wanted to buy something, but then we didn't have the money set aside for it, so we couldn't do it. So I want to go back to spending, or rather putting aside some extra money just for when those occasions crop up. When you know, we decide we want to treat ourselves to something, if we want to buy a new coffee maker, or if we want to go for a movie night, or whatever it is, it's just going to be extra. I'm not setting aside a certain amount every week, just will depend on what we have to spare. I'm also not saving for anything specific with this. It's just going to be extra, just like it says. So we're going to set $50 aside for that. So that is it for my weekly budget. I apologize that I didn't go through and write it all out with you guys. Like I said, I actually did do that, but then I lost that footage. So I guess I could have printed out a new page and done that, but it is what it is. You guys don't mind, I'm sure. So that is a look at where our money is going this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up so that I know. Leave me a comment down below and let me know how your week is going. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye, guys.